Hey, movie fans. So I watched the Mandalorian Grogu movie a couple days ago. I was really excited for this movie because of the fact I loved the first two seasons of the Mandalorian. When it came to season three, wasn't a big fan of that third season. And I'll be honest, I would put this movie up with that third season. I did not like this movie. Let me start with the one positive I have about the Mandalorian and Grogu film. The first 15 minutes, I was really enjoying it, and I loved how they were showing how badass the Mandalorian was in the first 15 minutes of the movie. And I was really enjoying the action in the first 15 minutes. After the first 15 minutes of this movie, I thought this movie went downhill personally. And let me talk about all the problems I had with this Star Wars film. First of all, it just feels like 3 or 4 episodes stitched together. Like the whole plot line of the Mandalorian and Grogu going after Jabba the Hutt's son it felt like something that would be a filler or side story in a TV show. Like there's certain points in this movie where I could tell when an episode would end and the next episode would start, and I just like this whole plot line with Jabba's son. I'm just like, this is what you came up with to make this to make this TV show into a movie. Because I'll give you 2 examples. What I mean, when you look at the X-Files movie, the first X-Files movie, and Serenity, with Serenity being, in my opinion, my favorite TV movie. When you look at those 2 examples, and I never watched the X-Files show. I've seen like bits and pieces on YouTube. I never actually watched that show, like a whole episode of it. The thing that I love about those 2 movies, though, is that they feel like movies. It felt like a one story, and it felt like a story that was big enough to be put in a big screen movie. Like it didn't just feel like 4 or 3 episodes just together. Those movies, and didn't feel the plot didn't feel like something that would be like a filler side story. I feel like you had a big enough story that would be that would be compelling for a big screen movie. There was nothing about this Mandalorian Grogu movie story wise that made me go like, oh yeah, you needed to make this into a movie, this TV show. Like the plot literally feels like something that would be a side story in a very weak, mediocre filler episodes. So that's one problem with this Mandalorian Grogu movie. It feels like 3 or 4 episodes stitched together. I don't think the plot justified this TV show being a movie with this like weak to mediocre filler side story type of plot. Another problem with this Mandalorian Grogu movie is that there's no character arc for the Mandalorian and Grogu. The relationship is pretty much static. Like it just feels like we don't go anywhere with these characters. They don't change by the end of this movie. Grogu he still doesn't talk in this movie. So he's just looking cute and making baby noises. I'm just like, I'm over this at this point. Like I just want, like, to me personally, I wanted to see him start talking now and start feeling like a character now instead of just like doing the whole, oh, he's cute, he's making baby noises. I was like, we already did that for 3 seasons. That like the cuteness of the character to me has weared off personally. And when it comes to like the Mandalorian character, there's no story arc for his character. Like he doesn't change by the end of the movie. He doesn't go through some like emotional arc. He's still the same character by the end of the movie. So there's no character arcs for either of them in this movie. You don't see any conflict between like their relationship when it comes to the Mandalorian, since he's a father towards Grogu. You don't see any like conflict there, so it's just very static, their relationship. And then another problem with this movie is movie just kind of changes its dressings at certain points, which again makes it feel like a TV show. There's certain points where I could tell where the episode would end and this episode would start. Another negative thing with this movie is that the the water character, Jabba the Hutt's son character, who's voiced by Jeremy Allen White, who I think is a great actor. He was in a show called Shameless. He's also been in other few things. He's a great actor. He like I felt like you could have hired anybody to play this role voice acting wise. He doesn't really add anything to this voice. It just sounds like him. So I was just like, okay, you could have had anybody play voice Wada the Hutt because there's really not a whole lot to the character. Like the idea of the character, I think, is interesting on paper. The idea that he doesn't want to be like Jabba the Hutt, his father. He doesn't want to be a criminal lord. Like he doesn't want to be a criminal. Like I'm like, okay, the idea is interesting. It's just the way they write it in the movie is very surface level. He even repeats the line, I think, twice about I want to be like my father. I'm just like, you said it twice. Like you don't need to repeat it. So it just felt very surface level, his character in this. Like the idea is interesting. It's just the writing to me felt very like one note surface level. So I just felt like you could have had anybody play this character because it just sounds like Jeremy. It sounds like Jeremy Allen White sounds like his voice. He doesn't do anything to like change his voice or anything. It just like, oh, it just sounds like him. And his performance to me was just, and his voice performance was kind of like fine. It's just I didn't get a whole lot from his like voice performance in this as his character. Another problem I have with Wild the Hut is that like I don't know, hearing the Huts talk in this movie, it had this like a little bit of a uncanny valley with how they just like talk, how they sound just like sounds like people. It just I don't know. That was like one of those things that it just kind of had this like uncanny valley when they were talking like a person. In the same way and also the same way Wild Hut looks. Another problem out Wild Hut in this movie is that when you meet him, he's like he's in an arena where he's like in this cloudy arena fighting monsters. And he's all buffed up. And I'm just like I couldn't take it serious. It just came off goofy when you see Wild Hut like a hut moving around in a arena like trying to like a gladiator where he's moving around fighting monsters and using weapons. I was like, this just looks so goofy. And I can tell this movie's like kind of going more towards kids. And just I just was like, this is silly. Like the look of the Wild Hut character just came off looking silly and goofy to me. And the CGI for the Huts in the movie, I just didn't think looked that great. Not the worst CGI at the same time though. They just didn't look great either to me. Like to me, Jabba the Hutt and Return of the Jedi still looks the best when it comes to seeing a hut in a Star Wars movie. When it came to the practical and how it looked in Return of the Jedi, Jabba looked great. Like it felt real. The Hutt's looking CGI in this just looked fake to me, and I was like, it to me didn't look great. And then I would also say this about this movie: a lot of the action after the first 15 minutes felt very generic and just like, okay, I was like, so he's just like a lot of the action is just like it's just scenes of Mandalorian fighting monsters, and it just became slop. It became generic slop. The Aston. So the Aston didn't really do a whole lot for me after the first 15 minutes. Another negative thing with this movie is that you have sessions where Grogu goes off on his own. And I found those sessions extremely boring. Because since he doesn't talk, I just found those sessions really boring and dull. Another problem with this movie is that they give nothing to the supporting characters. So Songi Weaver, great actress, she is given nothing to do in this movie. You could have hired anybody to play that role. Like her character gets nothing in this movie. You have a character called Zeb who is from Star Wars Rebels, and he doesn't really get any like character arc in this movie either. And I understand he's like a character from Star Wars Rebels. I haven't watched that show, so this might be one of those things where if you watch that show, you know you're gonna love this character because you love that show. I didn't watch that show, so this character, the Zeb character, didn't do a whole lot for me in this movie. And then you have this other character who's this mysterious bounty hunter who has this like wolf as a pet, who goes after the Mandalorian, who's hired by Wild the Hutt's uncle and niece. And his I can't remember the name of the character. Like the character looked cool in this movie. This mysterious bounty hunter that goes after the Mandalorian, who's hired by the Hutts. At the same time, though, I was just like, yeah, he looks cool. He doesn't talk a whole lot in this movie, and they don't give any backstory on this character. And from what I heard, he's like a popular Star Wars bounty hunter character, and maybe he appeared in the anime stuff. Because again, I haven't watched really any of the animated stuff, so his character didn't do a whole lot for me in this movie either. Overall, I thought the Mandalorian Grogu was personally terrible. I just did not like this movie, and it sucks because this is the first Star Wars movie in like years since Rise of the Skywalker, and to me, this was a terrible Star Wars movie. And this really makes me kind of realize that the show should have ended at the season 2. To me, the end of season 2 with the Mandalorian, where the Mandalorian takes off his helmet, gives Grogu to Luke Skywalker. To me, that felt like that was the end of the Mandalorian story arc, the end of his character arc. I feel like season 3 in this, they just haven't been able to find anything compelling for the character to do. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think you should even like bring the show back. I think you just need to end it here because to me, like I said, season 3 was terrible to mediocre. I thought this movie was terrible, and this and season 3, in my opinion, are just not very good. So I just, yeah, to me, season 3 in this movie made the character less interesting, in my opinion, because it just feels like they just don't have anything compelling to do with these characters. So that's my thoughts on the Mandalorian Grogu movie. Until next time, movie fans.